A Texas court has granted a stay of execution to Melissa Lucio, a mother of 14 children who is set to be executed Wednesday in the death of her 2-year-old daughter, Mariah. Her case will be sent back to a lower court to look at what Lucio says is new evidence that will clear her. In a short statement, she says, "I'm grateful the court has given me the chance to live and prove my innocence. Mariah is in my heart today and always." So here's the deal. Here's why this was such a high-profile and controversial decision and case. Lucio was convicted of capital murder 14 years ago. Prosecutors said she physically abused her daughter and that Mariah had bruises, a head injury, an untreated broken arm. But defense attorneys, Lucio's lawyers, say the case was built on false medical evidence and a coerced confession. Lucio's had supporters from all over the country, even celebrities like Kim Kardashian, who called today's ruling the, quote, best news ever. Danny Stavalos is joining me now. And Danny, one of her lawyers today says this decision signaled the court's willingness to finally hear Melissa's side of the story. The New York Times has framed this whole case as kind of a rare example of agreement in a state like Texas, which is fairly polarized. How significant is it that this Texas board decided to give her a stay of execution after she spent this time on death row?
It's not a rare case when you talk about coerced confessions leading to conviction, but you're absolutely right that this is a rare case in which folks from all over the government, different sides of the legislative aisle, they all seem to agree that this is a case that deserves a closer second look. And in reviewing the documents, this seems to me like a relatively common case of law enforcement getting tunnel vision early in a case based on their subjective impressions of how credible the suspect is and narrowing in on a suspect very early. And from there, confirmation bias just flies in. And it's very easy to come up with all kinds of testimony, including from a medical examiner, that's consistent with that initial impression.
And now that her case is getting sent back to lower court, is there new evidence they could get here they might not have had before? Is that how this would work?
It depends procedurally on what that new evidence would be. It generally has to be something that was not available at the time of trial. But they have several other grounds, which are that the original testimony was allegedly falsified, including potentially by the medical examiner. So these are all grounds that could possibly result in a new trial or vacating the conviction. So, I mean, look, in appellate work, everything's a long shot, but getting a second chance is still a second chance. She's still in the game.
Lucio would have been the first Latina woman ever executed by Texas, the first woman who had been put to death in that state since 2014. You had mentioned the sort of support that she'd gotten. Can you talk a little bit more about that, right? It's not just Kim Kardashian, it's lawmakers, too, politicians on both sides of the aisle.
Lawmakers and conservative Republican lawmakers, which is a rarity. I mean, I don't have data on this, but generally speaking, it's not Republican lawmakers that are particularly interested in wrongful convictions or exonerations. I shouldn't say it. I mean, I think they all are. Look, even DA's offices now have wrongful conviction units, and those are growing day by day. So there really is a movement to re-examine past convictions, not just by legislators, but the actual DA's office that may have convicted the defendant. So, I mean, we're definitely moving in a positive direction for these wrongful conviction exoneration cases.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.